That's Drew.
And that's Mike.
And that's Matt Fisher.
Matt Fisher is the man and the coach behind the YouTube channel Mr. Short Game Golf. Since starting the channel in 2007 with the goal of helping to grow the game of golf in a fun and creative way, Matt has developed a base of over 154,000 subscribers with more than 21 million views. With an emphasis on having the right attitude and approaching your game through simple instruction, Matt aims to help his viewers have more fun while playing more competitively. Follow the links to check out his channel and improve your own game. Matt, thanks so much for your time today.
I appreciate it, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're really excited about this. I think you have a different perspective from a YouTube stand and some of the others that we've talked to. And I'm really excited to hear the journey of how you decided to build the channel. So let's start with, just your past. And you went to San Diego State. You have a BA in journalism. What was the draw to a journalism degree?
Good question. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then when I finally went to San Diego State, I'm sitting there with my mom at like the orientation. And she's like, okay, Matt, this is the time you have to pick a major. So we're looking around and she's picking stuff. And I'm like, I know, I can't do that. I hate that. No. And she's like, how about journalism? And I'm like, I'm a horrible writer. Like, I can't write. And she's like, well, look, there's other things in there like advertising and marketing. You love that stuff. So she kind of talked me into it. And then I'm glad she did. They taught me how to write, through the process. But that's how the journalism got chosen. It was a good choice.
That has to be a little terrifying. Like, I'm a terrible writer, hence why Drew writes all of our intros. And like, for me to be a journalism major as someone who, like you just said, you're not a good writer. That's got to be terrifying. What was that?
Yeah. It was. And then when I took my first journalism class, I was terrified because, my impression was, okay, everybody here is, Mark Twain, and then there's me. And it is far from that. And the journalism, which I realized it's a learned craft. And you learn how to write in journalism format and pacing and style. And it's just something you learn like any other thing. And it's, once you figure it out and once you kind of get used to it, it's a lot of fun. And it's really how it's the reason I did well in college, because like my minor was political science and everything was written. And here I am like, oh, every test is a written test and it's your opinion and you got to kind of craft through this political, environment. So with that journalism, just you do it in that format and it made it easy for the instructors or the TA, whoever's grading your paper to just, I got it, good enough. And they move on. So I don't know if it kind of, you can skirt through a lot of stuff if you have just some basic kind of writing skills.
I agree with that so much. One of the skills that has stuck with me and has stuck out as one that, like you said, sort of just gets me through any situation is being able to write well. And I picked that up definitely from my high school professors. But I noticed that same thing in college, that no matter the subject area, I could apply those skills across the board. It's such a useful tool.
Yeah.
At what point in your college career did it start becoming fun for you versus just being something that your parents chose for you to do? And how did that transition play out?
It started becoming fun right away, actually. I remember, back then in the 90s, I had my typewriter and you're plotting away. But there was a summer class I took in like newspaper writing. We had to do an article. It's a little accelerated because it's the summer, but we had to do an article every single day. Like every morning I'm sitting there typing. I just remember my roommates were coming out like, dude, that's the loud. Can you do that? I'm like, dude, I don't have time. Like, so that was a lot of fun. Just, cause I got to interview, you had to come up with interviews. So I interviewed like the head pro at Torrey Pines at the time. So I got to do a lot of cool little interviews. And so it was just a good time. That's kind of when I started enjoying it.
It sounds like at that point you were starting to then incorporate that with golf. Is that true? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I had no choice. I mean, you had to like, okay, what can I write about? I don't know. So I'm like, well, I like golf. What can I do in golf? So I called the guy at Torrey Pines, and yeah, he's like, let me in his office, which, you know, it's then it was overlooking the first tee of the South Course. So I'm sitting in his office like, wow, you got a nice job. Little did I know that, you know, they hated it. These guys are running crazy. But, you know, he gave me the rundown and I interviewed him, and I was like, man, that was fun. And then I realized, like, at least in that world at the time, you could be out and do what you love and write a story about it. It was fun.
Yeah, that's cool that you're realizing at that point you can sort of tie a new passion with an old passion. Going back to golf, though, at what point did you start picking up the game of golf? When did that become passionate for you? What's your background with golf? I mean, you based a whole YouTube channel on it.
I know, crazy. So I
Yeah.
started when I was 18. That's the first time I ever played a round of golf. I remember my parents when I was a little kid. I tell this story. I mean, I don't know how true it is, but in my mind, like they took me, like I was like 10, and they took me to a golf course to get some. They had like a clinic, right? And we lived in Rolling Heights, which is Los Angeles suburbs area.
Okay.
And I remember talking to this little kid, this little African-American kid, who was much younger than me. I don't know who it was, but he's much younger than me. And his dad was there and his mom was there, she wasn't black, she was Asian. And that's all I know about it. That's all I can really say. But I was like, we were putting that day. And I look at this kid, I'm like, this is so boring. He's like, yeah, you should have been here last week. We're hitting drivers. This just little kid. And I'm like, I wonder if that was Tiger Woods. I don't know, but it's a good story. But that was the only golf background I had because it was the most boring day. We just putted. So I was like, forget it. My parents knew I hated it. So unfortunately, they didn't bring me a week earlier or even a week later, but it was that week. So I didn't again go to a golf course. Like the next time I played was Thanksgiving Day, 1989, when I was, 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and then I fell in love with the game at that point and just practiced every day.
What was it that made you fall in love at 18?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I surfed a lot. I grew up in San Diego mostly, and I surfed a lot, and that was great. I like kind of being out there by myself, and golf was kind of the thing you could do that was kind of the same thing, except when there are no waves, what are you going to do? So I said, well, I'll go to the golf course and practice.
I think they're very mentally similar, right? Surfing, you're in your zone, you're trying to get the flow, you're getting kind of always challenging yourself. And golf is very much the same way. You have to get in that right state. You have to get your swing state down. You have to be focused on what you're doing because there's so many things happening. You have wind variables. There's so many, similarities between them. I could see where you're trying to find that on land activity for when there's no waves, but the unfortunate reality for you is San Diego, there's pretty good waves more often than here in Florida where I'm at right now.
Usually there was surf, but you could, I'd surf for a couple hours. You're tired. I'm like, okay, now what do I do? Or it gets windy, blows out the wave. So
yeah,
you need an afternoon activity. And I didn't like school that much. So I did everything I could to not do schoolwork.
I can agree with that one. So I want to go back to, in college. And so you're now 18. I'm guessing this was probably the summer before you're going to college, or I guess to think so that end of your senior year before you went to college.
Yeah. In the summer, I started hitting balls at the range. My buddy worked at a driving range at Carmel Mountain Ranch. There used to be a driving range at that golf course, and he worked there. So we would go and he'd let us hit balls for free till he got fired for doing it, but whatever, So I'd go hit balls, and then, it was fun. And then on the Thanksgiving days when my grandfather invited me to go play with him. So I was like, cool, that'll be my first time on the golf course. And it was a disaster for sure.
My first time on the golf course was pretty much a disaster. I have a very similar story to there's no potential Tiger Woods in it, but I swam my whole life, and my parents dropped me off at a golf camp probably when I was like 10. And they're like, this is going to be really good for you. You should learn golf because we've heard it's good for business later on in life. Neither of my parents ever played golf. So clearly the advice was Great. I think I went to the camp for like 20 minutes, and it was on the same property as the pool I was swimming at. And I just left and I went to the pool and hung out there all day. My parents were like, "How was golf camp?" I was like, "I have no idea." Wasn't there.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Golf
It's
camp for a
funny.
kid.
I almost have the same exact story too. I got put in a golf camp when I was about 10, 11 years old and lasted half an afternoon and was like, I can't do this. This is way too boring.
For kids.
Yeah. For kids.
Yeah. And so let's get back to college, right? You graduate college, journalism degree, and now you're going into you have an amazingly good career ahead of you. You graduate and you go right into the working world. How was the job process? It seemed like, there wasn't much of a gap at all from graduation to when you started your first job.
I did an intern the year before at this production company in Los Angeles. So then I graduated in May the following year. They actually offered me a job to stay, which I probably should have taken it looking back. But, I was like, it's got one more year. Let me finish. So I graduated in May. They didn't hire me till November.
Okay.
So there was a number of months there that I was waiting tables and just, trying to figure it out. I was getting worried actually, but not that long. So then they hired me, but and I knew golf, even after playing a season on the San Diego State team, I knew look, I don't have the resources to pursue that, even though I wanted to. I just don't have the resources. And my number one dream was really to be in the TV and film industry. I loved it. I wanted to be around the movies or TV industry. So this little production company, small or mid-size, they hired me. So I went there. And
two things there. So I want to talk about what drew you to the industry, right? What was the first film or TV show that made you think, wow, this is an industry I want to be in for maybe my career, as well as I want to talk about something that you casually just said, right? You started golfing at 18.
Yeah.
And then you graduate college 4 years later, and you're already on a college golf team. That's
6 years later.
Okay, it doesn't matter. That's pretty good progress to get to that level. So let's talk about that first, right? How was the progression? Did you just pick it up right from that day of sucking with your grandfather and saying, I'm going to go after this and love this and just do it every day?
So, like I said earlier, I didn't like doing schoolwork, and I never was that good in school unless I was playing a sport. So in high school, I wrestled, I ran track. When I was playing a sport, I was really good. I was a much better student. Mm-hmm. So in college, I was like, man, I'm not going to get good grades unless I'm playing a sport. So I looked at that. I thought about wrestling, and I just didn't want to suffer like that for that long, even though I was pretty good. I was like, and then I wanted to do a sport that I could last for a lifetime. And so I was like, look, I started golf. Let me put in the work in golf that I did in wrestling. And I think I could be pretty good, pretty fast. And I was oblivious. I didn't know how good college players really were. All I knew was I was better than my friends, really, right away. It didn't take hardly any practice. So I was like, hey, I'll be fine. So it was just, ignorance was a good thing to have. But then I remember one day I was playing with these guys, and they were like San Diego State dropouts who were previously on the team or were being recruited, but they couldn't make it into school. And I'm like, these guys waxed the floor with me. And I'm like, man, these guys, I was just grateful they weren't on the team at the time or trying out for the team. So, whatever, I went and tried out for the team. I was a mess. I think I shot 92 the first two rounds. It was the first time I really ever played legitimately. And so I was like, oh man. So, but then I got it together, shot in the 70s and made it. So it's a lot of perfect storm stuff came together for me to be able to make the team. And I played for that season. I wasn't on the travel team, but I was part of the whatever 10-man, however many people we had, team.
Making the team is a feat in its own. I think not being on the travel team doesn't really matter because you're still part of it, and there's so many people who aren't on the travel team, but they bring the team together, right? Without them, there's no one to help you with practice, no one to get them there. It's like a pit crew, more or less. That no F1 racer is going to get anywhere without a pit crew. That's great. So that's awesome. I mean, and shooting 70s, like if I shot 92, I would be stoked. I'd be so stoked.
It was fun. And I knew, like, when I was on the team for the year, I was like, this, and I was graduating like in a year. So I knew, like, this is only going to last a short time. It was like the first time in my life I was like, hey, take advantage of what you got right here. So I did everything. I was there. I was the first one there. I was the last one to leave. Practiced 7 days a week. I just gave it everything I had because I knew I was going to go to work, soon after that.
That makes sense. So let's go back to the other question, which was, what was the TV show or video or movie or anything that made you think that I want to be in the TV film industry?
Well, I mean, as a kid, I would just go to the movies. We had this Edwards Theater by my house in San Diego, and when we moved there, it was like 99 cents for a double feature. And they had 4 theaters, so sometimes we would watch 8 movies for $1. We would just sneak in, stay there all day. So I just loved. For whatever reason, I loved watching TV and movies. I still do. And so then when I was getting close to graduating, I got an intern through people I knew, and just loved it. I was like, man, I need to be in this space.
Oh, that makes sense. And you made that dream a reality. And I think that's a combination of your determination and your hard work there, because your career goes from small production companies to CBS as a writer to Maker Studios, which is an influence in the YouTube world. So let's talk a little bit about your career and
Sure.
How you jumped around, when you made those choices, all that kind of stuff.
So I started at a company called Electric Entertainment, and we actually had the first DirecTV account when we were there when they launched their first satellite into space.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And all they had, what was funny is all they did was show movies, and they started producing original content around what the movies were. So all the movies they needed TV promotions for. So we did movie trailers for those movies. And then they needed, so for example, if a new James Bond was coming out, they would do, movie trailers or TV spots for the movie. And then they would do little segments, 5-7 minutes long, about a spy shop in Los Angeles, or the Aston Martin that he used. So it's very YouTube style, believe it or not. And that's what they did to fill their stuff early on.
That's
and then,
really cool.
Yeah, and then so that production company, then DirecTV started doing it all themselves and doing other stuff. So whatever, that production company eventually went out of business. So I moved to another one, and then same thing. It was just kind of a cycle of this went out of business, you go over here, that goes out of business, you go over there. And then that happened numerous times. Landed at CBS as a producer editor, and then left there to another company doing, similar stuff. And then
editor, director of photography.
Yeah, shooting stuff for these true crime shows, reenactments, recreations of murders and
that's
serial killers, interviewing FBI agents who track down the Unabomber and those kind of guys. So that was fun.
I could see
that does sound kind of fun, actually. What was it like recreating violent crime scenes?
It was okay. It wasn't anything, we were bubblegum shoestring budget on this stuff. We were in the office, okay, you need to, just lay down there and fake blood and grab a knife, little cutaway shots, fake knives and that kind of stuff. So it was whatever. They'd go to a park and it would make an ominous scene of a guy getting kidnapped or something. It was funny.
It's got to be an interesting thing to film, someone getting kidnapped. Don't worry, this is just for
Yeah, we never, the company I was with, they were running, I don't know, I called it a Ponzi scheme, to be honest with you, because they were they were selling show after show after show. But then what they would do is they would use the same footage from this show in that show. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's the same show. You just resold it with a different name. These poor investors are just getting taken to the cleaners. And eventually the owner of the company, she's still on the run from the FBI as far as last I heard, like in some foreign country, hiding out. So yeah, that was a mess.
Mildly ironic. It's FBI kind of documentary style things, and then now you're on the run. I guess you learned from the best of how to get away.
Yeah, she didn't learn good enough, I guess.
So all the while you're doing this, what are you doing with golf? Because you're taken out of then the university setting where you have that competitive outlet, you have that sort of goal, that drive to say, I want to get on the team. That's my next step. How are you continuing to motivate yourself to keep playing, to keep bettering your own game? And how are you approaching the game of golf while you're working professionally?
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time taking lessons, like trying to figure out how to get better. So I took lessons from a number of different people. Sometimes I took lessons from 2 different people at the same time who taught the opposite stuff, because I'm like, okay, that's not working. Will this work? And so, I would do that even at the same time to see if I could figure things out. And so kept studying the game on that side as well as practice, because one of the things I would do is in LA, there's a lot of traffic. So I would leave super early, go to a golf course near where I worked and practice for like an hour and a half before work, just to avoid traffic. It was either leave later, my kids or my wife sleeping anyways, so I could just get up early and leave and go practice, or I can leave later and sit in traffic. So I'd go practice.
Yeah.
And I would do that. And then if it was like daylight savings time, I would then go practice after work for another hour before I would drive home.
That's a pretty brilliant way to beat traffic in my opinion. I mean, like that's very smart, because I feel like so many people struggle with that exact thing in LA. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've only been in LA a few times, but that's the best way I've ever heard to do it, and find a passion, put it in front of the traffic, and have some fun while you're doing it,
Yeah. It helped, kept me sane, at least driving a lot or sitting around a lot in traffic.
And so then you left there, and that's when you ended up at Maker, right?
So yeah, that last company, they went out of business. So here I am now, trying to find work after being with that company probably for 5 years. So I went from CBS, 3-4 years at CBS, and then to that company for 5 years, I think. And a lot of the work, editing, had left to go to Louisiana, Georgia, kind of these states that were given a lot of incentives. So it was kind of hard. It was hard to find work now. So I'm just like, uh-oh, what do I do? I'm bouncing around, getting a little week gig here and there. And then finally got hooked up with Maker Studios, which was great, because, they paid nothing, very little. But I finally had no choice. I had no money, and I was out of money. It was like a year of searching for work. And so out of everything, savings gone, everything's gone. I said, I'll take whatever. So I went to Maker Studios and started editing videos for YouTubers. And I'm like, what? And I'd sit there and I'm like, what am I doing? What is this? Who are these people? And so some of them were, big names. I had never heard of them. And they were like couple million subscribers. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, you guys are paying. And the wheels are turning. And I'm thinking, they're paying me. They're paying a producer. They went and shot this guy's video for him. Most of the guys are running around with their little camera, right? But, they do the big shoot for the bigger names. They're putting a lot of, and I know production. So I'm like, dude, I know how much this costs. And then I look at the guy's views and I'm like, all right, he gets 1 million views. That's pretty good. Right. So I could see, okay. But some of the other ones were getting like 50,000 views on a video. I'm like, huh? And so over this time, I had done some freelance work over the years for a golf client, which we just put on my YouTube channel that you said started in 2007. We just put it there so he could show it to clients. And I'm like, and that video's got 50,000 views. How come I didn't make any money? You know, I'm like, no one's giving me a brand deal. So, you know, that's when everything started turning in my head about that.
But you already had you had a YouTube channel. So how did you find your passion for YouTube, and like, what was your first draw to YouTube?
Honestly, like whatever in 07, YouTube was brand new. So I think it started in 05.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I would check it out, but it was pretty clunky in 05 and 06. And then 07, I said, well, let me just put videos of my kids, me teaching my kids. And so I started doing that. And that's what some of my first videos were, just them doing drills that I kind of created for them. And then some of the other stuff I did for my buddy Pete, who owns amateurgolf.com, we would do like, I don't know, some club fitting stuff or whatever it was, and then I just put it on my site so that he could send it off to clients to try to get more business.
Yeah, that first video is see what this swing looked like 10 years ago. So that's a 23-year-old swing, right? 10 years from when you started.
That was my son. That was my son. So I did a video with him. Yeah, I did that video with him swinging when he was like 5, and I think I uploaded it again when he was 15 or something.
Oh, okay. That makes so much more sense. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like that, you started that way to put content on the channel, and you have 596 videos on your channel, that's
a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of videos. I mean, but that makes sense for the timeline. I mean, that you're putting them up for that long. So, you've accrued 154,000 subscribers. So let's talk a little bit about your transition from the professional side. And I think there's a stop that we wanted to talk about from our pre-call, which is you're living in the production world, the world that you had collegiately graduated into. Mm-hmm. And now you're at Maker, maybe seeing that there's this potential for a YouTube channel to grow. And all during this, you're also thinking about that there's issues that you see in the police department, and hey, maybe I'll become a police officer to change, to add some reform, because you saw, and I think you see that, like you saw something wrong that you didn't agree with, and you wanted to make a change. So let's talk about that for a second before we move into the YouTube side.
Okay. So I had started like my YouTube channel, like as in terms like, this is what I want to do. I started that in, let's say 2018. Okay. But then and I'm working at Maker, but Maker got bought by Disney. So now it's Disney, and I'm doing videos for even less because they dumped all these controversial big time creators. Mm-hmm. So they dumped them, and so I'm doing videos for people who have a lot less subscribers, but and then I'm trying to do my own channel at the same time. And then sort of around end of 2018, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to make any money. And at that time, I'm trying to think like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? And there, like you said, there were a lot of issues with the police, LAPD, and police across the country. And a lot of my friends were talking about it, saying all that they're saying today about the police, culture. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking it too. I'm like, man, okay, there's definitely a problem here, but I'm more of like, okay, I do want it to change. And I had a thought of like, what could make it better? And I thought, man, what they need are more mature rookie police officers on the scene, older, more mature, more life experience. That would change everything. So instead of being somebody who just said that, I said, let me do it. I'll do it. And then I'll do it. And then, I'll keep doing my YouTube channel, and that'll be more like long-term something. Mm-hmm. But I said, I'll do it. I'll get in there. I'll be like on the front line. So I started training to be a police officer in 2018, and did the LAPD, Burbank PD, school police, a bunch of them, and took the tests, passed those. then the physical, I was worried about the physical piece. And I remember, man, I went to the LAPD physical training, and I'm competing. It's me and a bunch of 25-year-olds. And I was like, oh man, but I'll tell you, when that officer, you're doing push-ups, you're doing sit-ups, you're doing a 300-meter sprint and a 1,500-meter run.
Okay.
Right. And then around the run, the mile and a half is last. You know, the officer is like, okay, you're not running. You're not here to have a running partner. You're not here to make friends. You're here for a job, you know? And I just looked around like, I mean, I've been looking for a job for 2 years now. You guys don't know what you're dealing with. So, I mean, I just gave it everything I got. And I got the second highest score, you know, of the whole class. And the same thing happened at the Burbank Police physical training department. And I'm like, man, okay, like this is great. Like physically I could do it. Mentally I could do it. And then we get to like the interview stage, and I just got rejected every single time. And I don't know why. I think it could have been my age. Maybe I don't know how to take an interview at 40-something years old. And I'm like, who knows? But, you know, it wasn't meant to be, which is fine. But I was still like, I still believe that that's what's needed in this country is a more mature person with some life experience on the front lines. I think they would make different decisions than like a young guy with no real history of much.
It states to your character that you want to get out there and you want to make a change in the world, and you want to be that change. So you went out and did it. That's different than what most people would do.
I tried. My wife was super happy every time I got rejected.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
she couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, come on, like this would be great. She's just like praying, like, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in the car. You just don't know who's in the seat in the front. But
you know,
all power to you, man.
I'll tell you though, now, like sadly, I'm glad I'm not there, because it's like right now I'd be the guy getting the brick in the face.
Yeah.
You know, if I'd be done with, you know, the training camp. I'd be in the car during the riot, you know, all the looting. And I'm like, I don't think that's good for my family, to be honest with you.
But I think it was probably a great life experience. And at least you are setting the example for those, you know, who are listening. If you want to make a change, be the change. Don't just talk about it on Twitter and tweet something. Make the change you want to see in the world. And I think that's a great message to put out there. Yeah, I mean, even if it doesn't work out, but maybe it didn't work out for the right reason. Yeah,
I'm glad. And I say, look, I don't care what you believe, who you vote for, what you do. I mean, but stand up for what you do believe in, and teach your kids like what your values are, and just be present and be like kind and respectful to people. And it's all good. Like I got friends on both sides of everything. And it's great. Like I'm glad of that. Otherwise, you know, like I couldn't see perspectives from both sides. Like I like that.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Yeah. And I think it speaks to a work ethic that seems to shine through with our conversations that we've had so far, and with your content on your channel, that you have this sort of work ethic that you just kind of, it seems you put your head down and you really put in the work little by little, and it's hard work along the way, but you kind of show that accomplishments that might seem very big at first, like going from not having golfed until the age of 18 to getting onto a collegiate team, or actually going out in your 40s and doing the physical training and taking the physical tests and putting yourself out there and actually doing all of that, just putting your feet to the ground and doing that. That's a good message. Yeah, it's a good example to follow, and it's a good message that it takes hard work.
Well, it's funny because after those physical tests, like my Achilles was hurting, like I could barely walk. And like, then I go to the PGA show in 2019, like, and you know, I had no money. I said, my channel was making nothing. I was barely working at Disney / Maker Studios. You know, I had to stay in the closest little Airbnb that's the cheapest one, as close to the convention center as possible, so I can walk there, you know, with a limping, carrying my camera. And it rained one day. I had to take an Uber, like broke me. Like I didn't have any money. I'm like, how am I going to pay like the $20 Uber ride?
That speaks to something too. And like facing adversity, and that's something that you seem to be doing too, with getting turned down from working in the different police departments and having to go through tough times like that where you have no money and you don't really have any idea of where you're going to grow or go in the future. Or yeah, I'm going to go join this collegiate golf team, and I just started playing a few years ago. How do you personally keep that motivation in spite of all those doors being shut in your face?
I mean, a prayer. Honestly, like my wife and I, we were on our hands and knees, like just praying, like with the kids, like month after month. I'm like, I can't pay the mortgage. Like, I have no money, and here I'm trying to be a YouTuber at the same time, and I'm like, how do I do this? But little things would come through, like that because of that PGA show. I met a company, and then I built a relationship with them, and a little affiliate partnership with a launch monitor. And so I'm like, okay, this is actually a cool product too. So I can promote it. And then they sent me a check, and I'm like, oh, I paid my mortgage. I was able to, I had sold my truck because I couldn't pay the mortgage. Like for like 8 months earlier, we had one car, and I'm taking the bus into Hollywood in the subway, and that's a disaster. And so then I'm like, oh, I could buy a little car now. Like, and so like little things would just happen little by little by little. And I'm like, okay. So it kind of keeps you going, but you're right. You got to put in the work. I'm like, I got to do content constantly, continually. And I got to just make sure that never stops.
And I think that's the misnomer that we're trying to get to on the YouTube side of things, where there's so many kids, so many people out there that think it's the one hit wonder that gets you a million views, that gets you a million subscribers, but it's really the consistent work, doing it consistently, getting out there. And honestly, it seems like you love YouTube and putting videos on YouTube, and that really, the passion behind it should drive the channel. And that's exactly what I see in your channel today.
Thanks. Something else that stuck out to me too in your about page is you say, as a golf coach, I've learned that not everybody can be Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, or even Phil Mickelson. And that is an interesting phrase to me, because on the surface, it might seem almost a little defeating. Like, well, if I'm not going to ascend to that level, why should I still stay motivated? Like, why as a golfer should I even keep trying? If I'm not going to get there, I should just give up now. Why do you think a listener or a golf player, an aspiring YouTuber, if they're not going to be Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus or Phil Mickelson, if they're not going to be one of these huge multi-million subscriber YouTube channels, why, in your opinion, should they keep on going? If they're not going to ascend to that astronomical level, what's the point? I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Well, most people don't want to be a YouTuber, so that's good. And I mean, if they want to, that's fine too. But most people don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. Most golfers just want to be better, be more consistent. So anybody could do that. Anybody could do. And I'd say anybody could shoot par. That I believe in. I believe anybody can shoot par, and I think most people are happy there, or would be happy. And I just believe like that's an attainable goal, because I've seen 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds shoot par, respectively for their tee, for their distance. But I've seen 13-year-olds shoot par at like the typical back tees. So like anybody can do it. It can't be done. Like, and I would always, my mindset was like, okay, even when a coach, the first guy I ever had a lesson from, said you could never be on tour or play pro golf or anything, like, and I'm like, okay, well, Jack Nicklaus, I believe, started when he was 10. And then, he won, 10 years later, he's a pro. I'm like, okay, so that's 10 years. It's just 10 years. I could be pretty good in 10 years. Like, what? So for me, it was always just the time you put in, not anything else.
Yeah.
So I think anybody could be really good. Can everybody be Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus? No, obviously, but you can be really good.
I think that true.
Yeah. And a lot of it, I think, is, at least for me, in endeavors like that, in hobbies or sports, it's a lot of, can I be better than I was the last time I did it? Like, can I shoot a better round of golf the next time I do it? Can I continue to improve myself versus like having that external goal? I think that's something totally different. External goals, fine. But I think the real motivating factor for me along the way is, can I be better than I was the last time I did this?
Yeah.
I never can because I don't play consistently enough. I think it's about, for me, I play like once a year, twice a year. But so, all right. So you start your channel that on the serious side of starting the channel, right? I feel like you were dabbling in YouTube. Now you start to take it serious. You, I guess, get like a logo. You're starting to build some branding. You have a great intro. I love your intro. And so now you're posting what, 3 videos a week currently?
Currently, I try to do 3 a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I mix it up a little bit just because I get bored, but yeah, I do that. So it was like, at the end of let's say 2018 is when the serious side of it, I said, and then I was like, let me do 5 days a week. And I was searching for the one-hit wonder, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted the million view for sure. I never got it. I don't think any of my videos have 1 million views yet.
You're 46,000 away on one video.
Yeah, go figure. It's a cheating video on golf cheating. So I shot that on my iPhone because I had to sell all my camera gear because I had no money. And I took the thumbnail on the iPhone, and it cost me, I think, $4 for or whatever, I had Lifesavers and whatever I bought for the thumbnail, which I walked to the gas station around my house to buy the stuff because I had no car. So anyways, like but that wasn't a popular video at first. And, it was, and I wasn't getting my views. I would get 100 views a day. Like if I put a new video, if I got 100 views that day, I was really happy. I was like, yes, I did it. And then 150 or 200, like I was really excited about that. Like, and I just kept doing it every single day, like 5 days a week, 4 days a week, until like things started to move forward.
What was the catalyst that, that drove it? What was the position that you think made you go from the 150 to 200 to 10,000 to 50,000 views? What drove that?
Yeah, I couldn't put my finger on any one thing. There's not one video, there's not a breakout video. It was just consistent videos over and over and over again, and just trying to learn from other YouTubers who are kind of like, YouTube, like helpers to kind of help you figure that stuff out. And so it was just working every day, whatever it is. And so, I mean, there's a lot of things that help, whether it's personality, whether it's constant content, whether it's the name, Mr. Short Game, that's kind of catchy, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
But I always tried, like, a couple things I tried. One, I never wanted to teach like the typical instructor would teach, right? So I tried to be a lot more animated and more like, if you played basketball, you would do drills, right? To get better. Or football, you're, high stepping through the bungee cords. Like, so everything like in golf, I'm like, that's kind of how I got better anyways, by doing specific drills, not by learning one technique or another. It was just like, hey, hit it low, hit it high, hit it, do this, that. And it was through drills. So that's how I learned. So I said, and I taught my kids that way, and they got really good. So I said, okay, I'm going to use that. I'm going to try to be entertaining. I'm going to let people get to know me a little bit in the videos, so that there's not just some barrier. Like, you feel like you're like, me a little bit somehow. Mm-hmm. And so those were my like, and I wanted to give people something for free, which was the content, whatever, the instructional piece of it.
Now you have, I think 7 videos over 400,000. You have one video. I mean, that's basically 1 million. You're knocking off 1 million, right? You're close. So now, how does that feel? Like that's got to be, is the accomplishment, do you feel accomplished, or is there still a drive that says, hey, I want to get those 7 videos to 1 million, and then I want to get 2 million, and, or what is that?
Yeah, it'd be nice to get 1 million. It'll probably get there. It's a cheating video. I mean, I'd rather have it be another video. Like if I had to pick one that I was like, man, this is a good video. Like I did a long iron video. I think that has 400 or 500,000 views. Like that's one of my better ones in terms of like can really help somebody. So I have a lot of content that could really help people, but go figure. And so I'm probably gonna do another. I've done 2 cheating ones. The other one's pretty good too. I'll probably do another one. Those ones seem to be more clicky for whatever reason. Even the one I recently did on the different size grips on your driver, but that was just perfect timing because Bryson DeChambeau just won the US Open. So then that came out the next day. We're just, luck of the draw, I guess.
I think it's the right place, the right time, or maybe it's luck of the draw. Who knows what it is? I think my favorite video on your channel is 100, long iron, 5 tips to hit your long iron pure. 403.
Yeah.
I still love the video of you. We talked about this on our pre-call, the taste or the mouth feel of the feel. Yeah. Can you blindfolded tell what ball is what? I thought that was super smart, great engaging video. And I love how you bring your family in on the channel. It definitely does create some ambiance. So I want to talk a little bit about the creative process.
Sure.
And then like, why did you guys choose to move to Georgia? What was the decision there? So, when you're coming out with 3 videos a week, do you have like a log on your phone that's like a notepad that says, here's the videos I'm going to do? Do you schedule them? There we go.
I've got like 3 of these. I've got one here. I keep these journals and I write ideas down. Like, okay, do this, do this, do this. And so there's a combination of, certain things I know, like fix your driver, how to hit it far, fix your slice. Like those are pretty staple, like meat and potato type videos that you can always recraft in different ways to help people. Chipping technique, that there's always something there. I never wanted to do product reviews, but that's a big piece of my channel now. 1, it helps you make money. And 2, like there's always something that people want to know about. So that's always good content. And then even just playing a lot of YouTubers who do what I like, instructors, you never see them play. They're never on course playing. I don't know why, but I'm like, I like to play more than anything else. So I'm going to take you with me and let you see me play good, bad, and the ugly. But I don't know why other instructors don't do that. They'll go play a hole or 2, but I'm like, no, I want to see the train wreck. Where's the double, triple bogey? And so I'll do that. And I think, everybody knows that most instructors, like maybe they used to be good, but they're not that good anymore. I don't know, like, and they don't want to show that. And I just think like, how can I teach you if I'm not doing it? Like, I don't know what you're going through. That's why I always say like, hey, it's cool to hear stuff from Phil Mickelson, but Phil Mickelson, unfortunately, he never fixed some dude's 40-yard banana slice. And he never had one unless it was on purpose. Like, so he doesn't know what it's like to struggle with that. Yeah. Like I do.
And I think like, you want to see that go through. And once someone told us one of the best things about YouTube and what makes a successful YouTube channel is to make it feel like you could do it yourself. And I think there's another side of that too, is make it relatable to the content that you're trying to do. And you do that in that sense. Like, I don't think I would ever be able to take any advice from Phil because there's no correlation to what we would have, like you're saying. But you've gone through these steps at a later age in life, 18 start, you didn't have lessons from 10 on and those fundamentals that were driven into you as a child. So it was kind of like that second nature. And when you're a sponge, you can pick it all up. But when you're 18, it's not, picking something up isn't as easy as when you were 7, 4, 5, 6, 10, whatever it is. So I think that's a great point to the relatability of your channel. So now you're going through those notebooks. How do you, what's your scheduling process like? Are you saying, okay, oh, I've got this really great idea, I got to get it out this week? Or do you try and keep your content in a certain order? Or is it just like, I'm going to go film this video, release it this date, film this video, release it this date?
Yeah, I mean, I write it all down, and then, I probably have 5 or 10 kind of ready to be shot. And then, I'll shoot those. I might reorder them. I kind of just, after I shoot one and edit it, it's next in the queue. But then sometimes I do shuffle them around based on just whatever, if something were to happen, but not that my content's really PGA Tour specific, but if, if, I don't know, if it just looks good, if too many things are similar, like the thumbnails look too similar, then I'll spread them around. That's kind of why I would shuffle them up. Like today I was out shooting a video for rain gear. Like I went and bought rain gear. Like nobody gave me any, unfortunately. Stuff's expensive, but I figured, hey, the weather's changing. People are going to be looking at rain gear. I'm like, hey, let me let people in on like what I do to go buy something so that they can kind of see, what they might need.
Yeah.
And I think you got to, I don't know, this is more of a question. So from a product standpoint, you don't always want to be reviewing stuff. You want to also say, this is what I do unadulterated from my perspective.
Yeah, a lot of it, I'll even look on Amazon for weird, strange products. And I'm like, oh, that's strange. And I'll buy it. And I'll just do a video on that because, it's odd looking.
It's got to be fun too.
Yeah, it is fun. And people always want to try out these different things, but they just, whatever. They don't want to waste their money. I'm like, hey, I'll do it. My video will make money, so it'll pay for it. So I'll do it. Like I bought a fake Scotty Cameron butter, but then I had to I had to go buy the dang real one. So I'm like, this is an expensive video.
You got a nice putter wall. That putting green has a nice array of putters back there.
Yeah. My wife's like, what do you bought a Scotty Cameron? It's for a video. I'm doing a video. It's work.
This is a work expense. I got it here. So what about the metrics? How often are you looking at the YouTube metrics? Is it something that drives your channel, or is it really more so just there?
No, I look at them a lot. As a business owner of my channel, I've got to know what's going on. Like, for example, I did a bunch of live shows before. Yep. And people like that, but I'm looking at the metrics and I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. I don't get as many views. They lose subscribers as opposed to gain subscribers. So that doesn't make sense. I'm like, I'm not going to. So, I look at that. Like the grip one I did last Monday, it's got me 800 or 500 subscribers, something like that, like a lot. So I'm like, okay, so that's just something that people, for whatever reason, they like it and they subscribe to you because of it.
Wow.
So I do look at that. And yeah, it does kind of lead me to create certain content versus other content. I think, and I know a lot of creators, they just do whatever they want. And and you're like, is this helping you or hurting you or not? It's kind of like, I listened to an interview, have it on my phone, from Jerry Seinfeld's old interview of this guy's, he's in some guy's office. He's just talking to him. And Jerry Seinfeld always says, he's like, I'm blessed because I get immediate feedback from the audience of what's working and what doesn't work. And YouTube's very similar. Like you'll know pretty quickly, like what works, what doesn't. And he's like, I get laughs here when I didn't expect any, and I didn't get laughs there when I did. And it's not that it's not funny. Somebody else might've got laughs somewhere else, but it's just for him, it didn't work in that space. So he would know right away. Next night he'd make adjustments and he was one of the best. So I listen to that all the time. And I'm like, okay, just listen to your audience. They'll lead you where you fit the best.
So I think that segues really well into the comment section and how, like, obviously we got to talk about it, right? How important is it to respond and be engaged in the comments? And what do you do with the negativity of comments? That's inevitable.
Yeah, yeah. So like a Gary V would say, and I heard him do a talk. He said, reply to everybody. He's like, there's no reason you can't reply to everybody. And at the time I did that. I replied to everybody. Thanks, you're awesome. I appreciate it. And even the negative ones, I would say, hey, I'll try harder next time. That was kind of like my big thing. Hey, I'll try harder next time, you know. Well, at least thanks for watching, you know.
Yeah.
And so now I can't reply to everybody. There's just too many comments, but I go and heart them. And so I guess like that's the thing. Everybody wants that one hit wonder video. I guarantee if you got that, it would destroy your mental state in the comments because you're going to get all the hate at once. And you just can't take, who can take it? So, you know, over the last 3 years, I've gotten, you know, hey, oh, I got my first bad comment. Oh, my first hater. Oh, I got a troll. And so it was slowly happened to now I'm like, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we've kind of heard that pretty consistently, that those who, once you kind of break out of your subscriber number, you know, for you, so once you break the 200,000 views on a video, that's when the algorithm is bringing people outside of your social circle, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you get a lot more negativity in the comment section. And do you see that too?
Yeah, definitely. If I have a video that does a lot better, then yeah, there's comments that I'm like, what? Where'd that come from? But most of the stuff is pretty positive. You know, just some stuff is negative. Occasionally it rubs me the wrong way and I want to say something and I'm like, I can't. Like, you just can't get caught up in that.
No,
And it's hard.
You can't. It's this whole dilemma that we have. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about pretty early on. And there's this whole internet, right? And people take on this different personality that they would never say this in person. Like, but they are on the internet. They can say whatever they want and there's no repercussions. And you are just going to take the brunt of this guy's bad day. Or maybe he just was watching a video with someone else and he liked it. And he's like, this is stupid. Why am I watching it? The reality is, why are you watching it? If you don't like it, you can always go to something else. Right.
I don't know what drives people to make bad comments. Like, I watch stuff I hate and I'm like, like certain people, I'm like, I hate this guy. And I'm like, why do I hate this? I don't even know this guy. Like, he's probably a nice guy. Like, I probably would have a good time hanging out with him. And so I'm like, but I would never, like, I'm not going to say something. Like, maybe I was racist. I just don't know. Like, why would you say something?
I don't know.
It's funny. It's funny that people hold on to that, you know, like, I think if I really don't like this video, like if I really don't like it at all, I'm going to end the video. I'm just going to go to the next one. I'm going to move on with my life. Right.
I'm going to find a video that I like and want to watch.
Let me tell this guy all the bad stuff he is. And a lot of times I say, like in my videos, like, hey, this may or may not help you. You know, this could work. This might not work. It's not a one size fits all. It's whatever. It's fine.
It's kind of like the I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on TV comment, you know, like,
right.
Good work for you. Could not. But that's a good way to put it. Like, there's no sauce. There's no secret methodology. There's nothing that's going to change your game drastically immediately. But here's some tips that might change your game over time. Or maybe this could change that one shot that you make on the golf course that changes your mental state. And that could create the whole flow of the game differently.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times if you've watched any of my videos, when we're doing a drill or something, I say, okay, now hit the shot like 500 times. And then go to step 2, like, because that's reality. It's funny, but it's the truth. You know, It's like, dude, you need to stay here for a while.
Yeah, but that makes sense. Like, you really got to put the work in to make the change in it. And I forget what the quote is. It's like, to break a bad habit, it takes, I don't know, some unbelievable amount of time. But to make the habit, it only takes like 3 tries. So let's change gears a little bit. I want to talk about you grew up in LA, you started your family in LA, you started your career in LA, you hadn't moved from LA to go to college. Well, you went to San Diego, but I guess that's where you grew up. Why did you make this choice to move to Georgia?
Good question. Okay, so for the first 10 years of my life, I lived in Los Angeles area, and then my parents split up. We moved to San Diego. So I went from 10 through college, San Diego. Then I moved up to LA and was there pretty much ever since. And then, okay, so let's see, my mom lived in San Diego. So then, I don't know, I always thought about moving for numerous different reasons. Never lived outside of the state. So I don't know, it wasn't too realistic a thought. Then my stepdad was he's kind of in bad health. So my mom needed a lot of help with him. So she decided to move up to Olympia where my sister lives and to be close to him. So once she moved, this was earlier this year, then I'm like, well, there's really nothing keeping me in LA. Like my YouTube channel became a full-time, income. So then I was like, I don't have to stay here. Like if I had to choose where to live, I wouldn't just be in LA. That wouldn't make any sense unless I had to be here for work. But now my YouTube channel was making enough to support us. So now, and then my mom wasn't here, so wasn't tied to being close to there. We thought about moving up that direction. But then I started thinking about my kids, what's going to be best for them. And college-wise, after college, getting married, and just being in a place where they can like start their life financially, and they're not too like handcuffed with that. So I talked to a lot of people, and whatever, it led us to North Atlanta area. And I was like, I knew a couple people here. I like the campus choices. I like the cost of living. I said, hey, why not? If worst case scenario, we can move somewhere else.
For your kids, there's this whole change. My wife and I just moved from Seattle to Pennsylvania for one main reason, because I grew up in Pennsylvania, but the main reason was, we just had our first kid, and there's no way affordability of a home was ever going to happen for us. That ever being a homeowner in Seattle was never going to happen. Now, there's a huge opportunity for your kids to buy a property when they're, in their teens or potentially in their 20s. Yeah. First home, they get married, they're having a kid, they can buy a house in Georgia. That's a great feature. And I think that's a good thought that you had for your kids. It's really cool to see that impacted it. But at the same time, there's a heck of a lot of golf courses in Georgia.
Oh, you're telling
me.
All
untapped. It's all untapped to you. It's just got to be a really cool journey to go for.
Yeah, I mean, California was great. Like I had a good setup there, at the course I was with, and but yeah, there's a lot of courses, but around here it's exponentially more, and it frees me up then to do, like, next week we're going to Whistling Straits.
Cool.
Me and a guy, I'm collaborating with a guy from another channel, so he and I are going there to shoot a ton of content, do some stuff for the Ryder Cup coming up next year now. So that we leave Sunday. So like just a lot of things like that are now possible where they weren't before.
Yeah. And there's a different side of it too, that I would love to see too. What does $18 for 18 holes get you? What does $180 for 18 holes get you? You can do so many of that. And I feel, I don't know the LA golf scene too much, but I definitely don't think you can get 18 holes for $18 with a cart.
That'd be tough.
Yeah.
That'd be tough. The best deal out there is probably Rustic Canyon, but it's a good course, but it's, it's just a little hike to get there, and it's not $18.
Yeah.
It's probably 45.
No, that's not bad at all either, though, in the grand scheme.
Yeah.
So the collaboration, that sounds cool. What else is on the horizon for you? What's the future of the channel? Obviously, awesome merch that he's rocking on his head right now. We got to get us some swag for like that. That's awesome. Yeah. I love the logo.
Thank you.
Fits really well on the hat. So what's the future look like?
The future is, in my notebook that you saw, there are all these channel names and subscriber numbers that I had written down when I started, and I've passed a lot of them. The goal is to pass the rest of them. I don't know, there's a couple that are gonna be tough, but so that's always the goal. But yeah, I want to keep, create engaging, interesting content that keeps people engaged. I want to do more of the travel stuff with other creators so that we can, I'm not, there's different types of that. There's some channels out there that kind of skew to like a younger viewer, and whereas mine is more of an older player, somebody's going to go on a vacation with their wife or family or a guy's trip, and who really are trying to play real golf. So we're setting up more travel pieces to showcase courses in that regard. So that's kind of what it's going to be. And then on those travel places, obviously I want to keep the instructional side going.
Yeah, that seems like a great mix. I'm excited to see that. And we would probably hold you back in a golf game, but maybe one day we can come back and do a follow-up at, let's set a number like, 500,000 or maybe 400,000 subscribers. Cause I really don't see that as far out for you. Maybe we can see what the day in the life of Mr. Short Game is, and maybe hit 9 holes. I don't know if you wanted to hit all 18 with us.
Whatever. You should see some of the guys I play with out here.
Well, I was going to say before too, it seems like you're growing pretty well, because I had to update the intro that we wrote. Last time I wrote it, it was about 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers short from today, from when we were scheduled to do it a couple weeks ago, and had to reschedule. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I was also going to say we should go get a surf in too.
Yes.
If you have a background of surfing, I think we can stay with you there. Won't be
dragging
you down.
Where do you, Mike? You in New Smyrna Beach or something? Is that?
I'm in New Smyrna. Yeah.
Is that the good surf spot? I wouldn't know.
Coming from where you are, there's not going to be good surf in Florida often, but there's a pretty consistent surf here. Okay. I'd say it's got good sandbars, and it's got a great little scene. So the reality is I can go out, have a great time, and smile and surf, and that's really what it is. But yeah, it's all beach breaks here. But nice. The cool thing is, CJ Hobgood lives 25 miles south, and Kelly Slater grew up 15 miles south of us right here. Wow. So it's a great place to surf. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's good to learn here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we don't have like super angry locals like sometimes they have in California. So from what I've heard.
Yeah, no, I've gotten into a few little altercations out there. It's Winded Sea Beach in San Diego is notoriously local.
Yeah, territorial in that sense. Well, man, hey, it was awesome to talk to you, and definitely look forward to, because Drew and I have the same aspiration of like kind of traveling and seeing the people that we've kind of interviewed and talked to, and catching up with them and doing something with them, so that our subscribers can see the other side. Like, what's the day in the life of, Matt Fisher, and how does that work? So we'll keep in contact with you. And I honestly am super stoked about this, and was so thankful for you to be on the podcast today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's good to hang out with you guys anytime. Yeah, if you want to surf or whatever, play 9 holes, 18, I don't care.
We'll figure it out.
I love that.
Maybe we can do both in one day. That'd be awesome.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Yeah. So thanks so much, Matt, and we appreciate it. We're going to link all of his information in the show notes, as well as on our YouTube page. So if you're watching it, just click down on that show more button and see it. Make sure you subscribe to his channel, our channel. Check us out on Instagram, and do your thing, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks again, Matt.
All right.